beautiful. We're reading today in the text, chapter 27, The Healing of the Dream, section 7, The Dreamer of the Dream, paragraph 1. Suffering is an emphasis upon all that the world has done to injure you. I'm going to read that again. Suffering. This is the definition of suffering according to A Course in Miracles. Suffering is an emphasis upon all that the world has done to injure you. Here is the world's demented version of salvation clearly shown. Like to a dream of punishment in which the dreamer is unconscious of what brought on the attack against himself, he sees himself attacked unjustly and by something not himself. He is the victim of this something else, a thing outside himself, for which he has no reason to be held responsible. He must be innocent because he knows not what he does, but what is done to him. Yet is his own attack upon himself apparent still, for it is he who bears the suffering, and he cannot escape because its source is seen outside himself. Now you are being shown you can escape. All that is needed is you look upon the problem as it is and not the way that you have set it up. Wow, that's really powerful. How could there be another way to solve a problem that is very simple but has been obscured by heavy clouds of complication which were made to keep the problem unresolved? I'm going to read that again because this is how ego works. The problem is very simple but has been obscured by heavy clouds of complication. You know, I've noticed over and over again in my life that if it's simple and clear, it's generally much more aligned with truth. And ego would make things very complicated and very complex. And here it's saying that is to obscure with heavy clouds of complication, which were made to keep the problem unresolved. Without the clouds, the problem will emerge in all its primitive simplicity. The choice will not be difficult because the problem is absurd when clearly seen. No one has difficulty making up his mind to let a simple problem be resolved if it is seen as hurting him and also very easily removed. Wow. Wow. Okay. Wow. Okay, I'm going to pause here and just share from personal experience. When I don't want to forgive, when I am feeling aggrieved and injured, I can come up with the most complex justifications and stories, and they did this and they did that, and I can go way back in the past and go back, mine for more data in the past that's proving my point. Because in that state, in that ego-identified state, it's more important to me to be right than it is for me to be happy. But in those moments where I have this clarity of like, you know what, I'd actually rather be happy than subjectively right according to the ego's insanity, and I'm willing to sink into the deeper truth of what's really going on, most of the time, the problem itself, actually I realize it doesn't exist. It's self-created. And a simple shift in perspective makes it disappear. Now, if it's something that's manifested into 3D and it seems to be an apparent problem that has to be addressed, I still get such a clear knowing of what I need to do, my responsibility. And sometimes it's walk away. Sometimes it's just don't engage. Other times, if I need to engage, I get the guidance that I need to engage in a way that's uplifting. And that is bringing peace and truth and gentleness to the situation, not more complication, accusation, drawing my sword. That doesn't mean that there's never a time in our lives for clear, direct, sometimes even sharp communication, but it is coming from an inner knowing, from true strength. And its motivation is love. And that is very different than the ego's motivation, which is to be right. The reasoning by which the world is made, on which it rests, by which it is maintained, is simply this. You, pointing outward, external, you are the cause of what I do. Your presence justifies my wrath, and you exist and think apart from me. While you attack, I must be innocent, and what I suffer from is your attack. No one who looks upon this reasoning exactly as it is could fail to see it does not follow and it makes no sense. Yet it seems sensible because it looks as if the world were hurting you. And so it seems as if there is no need to go beyond the obvious in terms of cause. There is indeed a need. The world's escape from condemnation is a need which those within the world are joined in sharing, yet they do not recognize their common need, for each one thinks that if he does his part, the condemnation of the world will rest on him. And it is this that he perceives to be his part in its deliverance. Vengeance must have a focus, otherwise it is the avenger's knife in his own hand and pointed to himself. And he must see it in another's hand. And if he would be a victim of attack, he did not choose, and thus he suffers from the wounds of a knife he does not hold and is made upon himself. So that's how ego works. We're all separate. You're bad. I'm good. I'm right. You're wrong. And of course, Miracle says, you're not separate. And what you think you're doing is avenging yourself. But what you're really doing is choosing grievance, choosing judgment, choosing condemnation, and self-inflicting that wound, because you could opt out. You absolutely can opt out. In this earth school, you are never forced to participate in vengeance. You are never forced to participate in grievance. That is always the choice of ego. And you get to be hostage to ego or host to God, and that is the choice that you get to make. And when we are hostage to ego, we pick up our sword and we avenge ourselves from imagined grievances that are self-created. And when we choose to be host to God, we are found in a place of inner knowing and peace, where the path forward will be obvious because we follow that guidance to be still and know. The ego can only figure and make figurines, but the soul can know. It can know the path out, and it can look at the imaginary, made up, contrived problem for what it really is and easily unravel it. Thank you so much for being here. The part you play in salvaging the world from condemnation is your own escape. The ego will say, it's not fair. They are bad and you need to punish them. And the soul will say, the part you play in salvaging the world from condemnation is your own escape. This is for you. This is for you. You deserve to be at peace. You deserve to be happy. And this is the way out. Sending you so much love. I'll see you soon.